Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Biokinetic K9 on this Friday afternoon. I hope you're all doing well. Today, we are going to be talking about 5 basic fitness truths or principles around your fitness or conditioning with your dog in your sport. And what we're going to talk about here is those principles which are, they are truths, or they are it's a theory, it's a law of nature on how things work. And these have all got a lot of science behind them and how they work and why they work, in order to give us these 5 truths that make our fitness safe and long-lasting. So before we get on to that, let me just introduce myself. In any case, my name is Angela Hearn. I'm a certified canine athlete specialist and certified canine myofascial release practitioner. So I deal with sport dogs in particular. I love to train them. I love to work in the fitness and conditioning of them. I do IGP myself. And let's get cracking. If you are on any other page, please pop on over to our page, the Biokinetic K9, and give us a thumbs up or a like. If you want to get notification on any of these videos, if you find them interesting or informative, or your friends may do so, please share them along. If you've got any questions that you have or comments that you'd like to make, put them in the comments on my page so that I'm sure to see them and I can answer you directly. Super. So let's get cracking. So what is these basic truths? Well, before we actually even get to that, if you are going to be doing any fitness and conditioning with your dog, if your dog is any sport, then please, and I'm the first person to omit this part, and it got me to waste a lot of time, but draft a plan. It sounds so simple. Just draft a plan, not just any plan. So for example, like, don't just go running a couple of times a week. Don't just go and do some swimming lessons a couple of times a week. Draft a particular plan, because the body is an amazing machine. It is an amazing machine. It responds to specific stimuli in a particular manner and in distinct different ways. So make a plan, because if you don't have a plan and you just go out and you do something, or if you train too hard, the brain kicks in and the brain is going to try and protect your body from injury or being overtrained or stressing the muscles too much. So before you even do anything, try and see what you want to do and draft a plan. It's the one thing that is going to really keep you on the right path and in the right direction. But that plan is so important, because I was one of those, oh, well, I know how to exercise. I'll just go and do it. As I walk into the gym, I'll go and do what I need to do. And you waste a lot of time because you don't get the results you want, because you're just doing whatever you know. But if you have a distinct plan, that's when the results appear. So I'm speaking from my own terrible experience and time wasting. Draft a plan. It's the one thing that's going to get you on the right path, the right road to where you want to go. Similarly, if you're training for IGP or if you're training for any sport, there is a plan and a progression on how you determine your dog's training ability and training progress within the sport. Same thing happens when it comes to fitness and conditioning. So let's get onto those principles. So there are 5 of them, and the first 2 are really closely related. So I'm going to speak about them both together. And the first principle that you're looking at is something called the overload principle and the fit principle. Now, these 2 work really close together. So the overload principle, it's one of the most important principles when it comes to training your dog, even in a sport, or training when it comes to fitness and conditioning your dog's body. And what it says is that the body, unless you ask it to adapt and you start training, the body is going to become good at that level. And then you'll carry on training, and then nothing is going to happen to the body. It's just going to stay there. And you're not going to see any result. And you have to ask for extra demands from the body in order for that body to grow and improve. So your overload principle is one of the most important principles. You're asking the body to adapt to an increased demand, but that demand has to be gradual and it has to be progressive over time. It's there to ensure your long-term gains, because you want to have gains, continual gains all the time, and you want them to be there for the duration of your dog, your own life, your own fitness, etc. You want that long-term gain, but it's important you always start slowly and progress continually. So you're looking at apply it slowly. Don't go too fast, because if you apply progression and you ask for extra demands for the body too quickly, the body will start to have negative effects, and it will have those negative effects to stress overload in the muscles, and the body will start to actually shut down. So there are various ways to overload the progression of your dog's exercises, and how you do that is through the FIT principle. So they nicely go in together, and your FIT principle is about varying the exercises that you do with your dogs in a particular manner. So the acronym FITT, it stands for the frequency that you do your exercises in, the intensity that you do your exercises in, the type of exercises you do, and the time you take to do those exercises. So if we could quickly just go through what those all mean, we can go and we have a look at. So your frequency is how often you do an exercise. So say, for example, you are running. So you're going to increase the frequency by, instead of going 3 times a week, you are going to be going 4 times a week. It's just how many times you do, how often you do a particular exercise. But the important part of the frequency of exercising is that you must also consider that while you're doing exercises, the body needs to repair. That is really important. So you have to balance the amount of work you do with the amount of time that you give the body to repair after an exercise. And this is particularly important if you are doing strength training exercises, because we know that strength training breaks the muscle fibers down. And in order for that muscle to come back stronger, it needs that repair time. If you don't give the body that repair time, you are looking at more problems than you're looking at gains. This I can promise you. So you need to balance your work and your recovery load. That is your frequency. So how often are you going to train? And depending on what you're exercising and the type of exercise you do, that will determine how often you should train and various body parts therein. Then you're going to look at the I, which is your intensity of training. Intensity is, for example, it's the amount of effort you put into your training. So, for example, if you're going to go and take your dog for a leash walk, that is a low-level intensity training time. If you're going to ask your dog to do a couple of sprints, that is a high-intensity training exercise. So you are looking at the amount of effort. If you are looking at strength training, then you are looking at the number of repetitions you're giving your dog to do a particular exercise, or the number of sets of 5, or the number of sets of 8 that you are going to be doing of a particular particular exercise. So that is your intensity. You don't want to overload the muscles. So you're also going to look at the amount of load that you're putting on those muscles. This is quite important. So when it comes to humans, for my intensity, say, for example, I'm doing 3 sets of 10 curls with a 10-kilogram dumbbell. Now, if I increase the intensity, I would go to 3 sets of 8 repetitions with a 12-kilogram dumbbell, and then work myself up to 10 repetitions per set, for example. So your increase in intensity would be the number of repetitions that you're doing, the number of sets that you're doing at a particular repetition, or the amount of load that you are placing on that muscle. When it comes to cardio, then it would be just the speed that you're doing, the intensity that you're doing, how much of that muscle you're working. Are you using 50% of the muscle over a period of time, or are you using 100% of the muscle right now intensely? That is your intensity of working a particular muscle. Then when you're looking at your time, of course, this is self-explanatory. Are you going to be training for 15 minutes, or are you going to be training for half an hour? How long are you going to be doing the exercise? So it's just your duration of your session. And then if we look at the type of exercise, this is like, are you going to be doing some cardio exercises? Are you going to be doing strength exercises? Are you going to be doing sport-specific exercises for your dog? So that is the type. So if you vary the type of exercises that you do, that also fits within your FIT principle, and you apply that type of training with your overload. So your overload principle is how you progress and increase the demand of the body, and you use the FIT principles in order to incorporate those demands. So you combine that overload and FIT principle together. They work really nicely together. So say, for example, if we look at your FIT principles and you just want to overload on strength side, your frequency would just be increasing the number of days on your workout. Similarly, your cardio, you would increase your number of days on your workout. Your intensity, you would increase the number of reps or increase the load. And for your cardio exercises, you would increase your pace in a time given. So if you are walking for half an hour and then running for half an hour, that would be increasing the intensity of the exercise. For your type or your time in strength, it would be increasing the number of sets that you're doing. So instead of just doing one set of strength exercises, you are now going to be doing 2 sets of strength exercises. And when it comes to cardio, you're going to increase the distance or the time given to do a particular exercise. So you're going to be doing it for longer or further. And then, of course, a type that would just be using a different exercise for the same type of muscle group. So if it comes to humans, if you're going to be doing a barbell curl or a bench, a dumbbell curl, or if you're going to be doing a hammer curl, or if you're going to be doing just a normal straight curl. Those are really the different types of exercise for the same muscle group. That would be your type of exercise. When it comes to cardio, it's also a different type of exercise for the same type of exercise, a different exercise for the same type of exercise. So you'd swap for example, jogging with swimming. That would be the example of your FIT principle of type exercises with your dogs. So once you've got those 2 principles nailed down in your program and how you progress to get the dog and increase the demands of the dog, then you can look at the 3rd principle, which is specificity. Specificity, yes. So what this means is, oh my word, do the exercise for the particular goal that you want. So if you want to lose weight, or if you want to increase your cardio, or if you want to increase your strength, then do the exercises that promote that. Don't waste your time on exercises that's not going to achieve your goal. When it comes to sports and your dogs, the same thing applies. So your exercise principles must always promote the sport that you're doing. Small example, say for example, I'm running for time or I'm running for distance. I don't want to be really fast in a certain time. My training for that would be different. So training for a sprinter would be very different than training for a marathon runner. Training for a soccer player would be very different to training for a tennis player or a golfer. Same in dog sports. Training for a hunting dog would be very different to training for a power sport dog. So make sure that your exercises match the goals of your dog's sport. Match the goals of your dog's body and structure. So you want to strengthen weak areas within your dog, and you also want to protect those weak areas of your dog. You also want the goals of your sport the goals of your exercise to promote your sport and to promote your dog's structure and to be in line with your dog's current fitness level. If you are just starting a exercise program, you don't want to start with an advanced exercise for that dog. The dog's body will not be able to cope, and you'll more than likely injure the dog than get a beneficial result. So be specific of that your goals, whether it be weight loss, sport promotion, increased energy, increased strength, increased cardio, increased flexibility, whatever you are doing, make sure that your exercise matches your goals. And that's why you need that plan right in the beginning, because when it comes to creating a plan, you need flexibility within that plan. It must be a complete plan for your dog. So you need to include things for flexibility. You need to include things for various areas of strength within the dog and the sport and the age of the dog and condition of the dog. You need to have good body awareness, because a dog needs to know what he's doing with his body. It's amazing how many dogs don't know how to control various parts of their body. They are used to running forward. That's what they do. They do that the best, so they go forward. Ask them to sidestep. Oh my word, they don't know how to do this. But when it comes to a sport like IGP, and they have to fight a helper, those back legs are sidestepping. And if a dog doesn't know how to control those muscles because they've never been worked, those inside and outside thigh muscles, they've never been worked in a particular way, that's where your dog can get injured. So make sure that specific exercises match your sport. Then this is something that is seriously important and many times overlooked. I know of handlers that overlook this aspect, which is rest and recovery. This is really critical if you want to achieve any gains in your exercise program. That rest and recovery. The body can't take too much stress. Stress on the body and the muscle causes a breakdown of the muscle. And if you are placing too much emphasis and too much stress on those muscles, the muscles just continue to break down and they don't get that chance to recover. The only time they do recover is in a resting state. So if you don't give proper rest and recovery periods for your dog, the body will shut down just in order to protect itself. There's nothing you can do about it. The dog's body will shut down, and I have seen it. I've seen it where there's been too much emphasis on particular exercises. By the time they have to go to trial, that dog has got this lackluster performance where none of the muscles are like, wow, let's get going, and all the muscles are, oh, here we go again. And you can see that whole, instead of this pumped up dog, that full exhale of the body as they start their heel work. So they've got to sit to attention at heel, and then when they start walking, the body does this. And it's the saddest thing to see. It's the saddest thing. And it just shows that the dog is physically or mentally tired in that aspect of what they are going through. So they develop something that's called, humans get it, overtraining syndrome. They become weak, their muscles are tired, and it breaks down the body. So they suffer from excess fatigue, they actually have burnout, and they have a weakened immune system. So we don't always see this with our dogs because we are out there and we're training. And the one thing we need to remember, and this is something, the more trained your dog, the more you just stand on the field and you will send your dog around the pole, and send your dog around this pole, and send him into upper, and you are just standing there. You are not tired, but your dog's running around like a mad thing. You are walking up and down the field at heel, and even just to walk down a full sports field, we go, oh, wow, that's heavy going. But your dog is walking down a sports field at full body attention and full body muscle coordination, and all the muscles are working just to heel the dog down the field. So your dog is getting much more tired than what you are. Where you are there standing and you're giving all the commands and you're giving all the extra sits and downs and stands and jumps here, there, and everything. You are just standing. How many people just stand on the side of a jump, send the dog over the jump, go around the pole, send the dog over the jump, go around the pole? Not much exercise happening on the human part, but the dog is going through a lot. They are super fit. And we only stop when we think, oh, that's a bit of training, but the dog is sucking air. So be careful. We are just standing still in the fields and the dog's doing a lot of the work. And if we don't rest and recover our dogs adequately, they take the strain, and it comes out in your trial. It comes out in the trial because they just don't have the physical stamina to get through it in that alert manner within their body and their muscles. So you will see this also. They'll have mental fatigue. They can't concentrate. You'll see also hunting dogs. They may be mentally tired, or even they slightly dehydrated. And as they're going out, they've been hunting all day, and they'll go out and they'll go stand on point, and they know that they may not move, but when they are mentally tired, that concentration just wavers, and they take a step, and then you get your points deducted. The same with our dogs that sit and stand down on the moves, and all of the dog takes that one step because the concentration is so great, and they just can't hold it together for that extra second, and they take a step just to recover, and you lose score. So that mental fatigue, watch out for that. That is also something that is trained with that progressive overload principles. Focus is also that mental acuity, that mental stamina is also something that you can train for. So when it comes to rest and recovery, be careful of training every single day. There's certain exercises that you can do every day. We have a member, she trains a dog almost every day, but she does it correctly, and a dog never falters it. It's never fatigued when it comes to doing training for her sport, and that's what you want. So you want to have, especially when it comes to strength training, you want to have that proper at least one day after a strength day for those muscles to recoup, or at least a body part muscle to recoup, and then train something else the next day. But don't carry on with that same body part every single day. It's really dangerous, and you will not see the benefit within your dog at all. That is, unfortunately, it's a guarantee almost. So be careful of that, of avoiding that rest and recovery period. That is absolutely essential and crucial for optimum performance, which is what we're all wanting in any case. So here is another one. Use it or lose it. This is so true. There's a saying where people, the saying, a used key never rusts. Same happens in our body. As long as we're using it, we are maintaining what we've got. So a one-day rest period that we're speaking about before, that is a recovery period. It's not that we are not training for 2 weeks or so. So you'll see that your muscle strength, as soon as you stop training on a regular basis, your muscle strength will decrease. We see that many times if a dog is injured or it's had surgery, the muscle starts to get small because it's not being used. You've seen even if you have a plaster cast or a moon boot on your leg and you're not using those muscles in the leg, that leg gets smaller. So that wasting away of the muscle is called atrophy. So that muscle atrophy then sets in. So as soon as muscle strength starts to get lost, or the muscle starts to atrophy, then you know that you are not training enough. So if your dog has been injured or has been ill and you restart your training, please be aware. Even if it's a break for 2 weeks, just take that one step back and start a little bit lower and build them up. The nice thing about it is that they will have that muscle memory, and the ability to jump back and to jump on and become fit again as they were happens much faster than if you had to start over with a fresh dog. So that muscle memory within the body, even after years, that muscle memory always is there. And the body's recovery after a layoff happens a lot faster on a previously conditioned dog than a fresh dog. So the muscles that lose mass are not only your skeletal muscles and muscles that are in the body that are being used, but it also applies to heart muscle tissue, and even though it's not a muscle, the brain. So we see that in humans, when the brain doesn't get used, there is the onset of dementia, etc., etc. So use it or lose it. So when we say use it, We're not saying train every day, because that is also no good. Everything, there is a rhythm, a pattern, a plan. So if you're training regularly, and we're not talking about just the weekend warrior, but regularly throughout the week, your optimum training is 3 to 4 times a week for any human, similarly a dog. That's all that you require to maintain good muscle condition for any sport that you are doing. So remember to always develop a progressive plan that aims at a particular goal or aims at progressing your dog's sport. That is vitally important. And why I say this is it's because something that I didn't do in the beginning, and I wasted a lot of time. So have a plan and follow that plan, and follow the dog, watch the dog for fatigue, watch the dog for recovery, and you will see that your sport will automatically improve. Automatically. So that is it for me for this afternoon. I hope that you had a really good understanding as to what the basic fitness truths or plans are. Let's just recap, and we know that it's the principles of overload, and that fifth principle of frequency, intensity, time, and type of exercise. Anika, oh, my pleasure. It is my pleasure. Bob, my pleasure. This is the type of things that we are going through in our membership, and we go into depth into all of these ideas as well. So we're going through, remember to do that overload and fit principles. They work together. They help you work out your plan of what exercises you do and how you should progress. Make sure that you always are specific to what exercises you're doing and that they match your goals and your sport. Don't waste your time doing exercises that don't promote your dog's body and don't promote your dog's sport. Or if they promote the body, only one area of the body. You want it to be a complete package with your dog. That whole dog must be able to present itself on the sports field, so that you can stand next to your dog and you can go, you look at your own dog and you go, wow, that's what you want. Then, of course, you're looking at rest and recovery. Very important. Don't push your dog every single day, especially with strength training. The muscles need to recover in order for them to become stronger. Otherwise, you are just breaking them down all the time, and you won't know why your dog is so much more weaker than when you started. You need that rest for the dog to become stronger. Very important. Me and my very important, my word. And remember, a used key never rusts. Use it or lose it. So keep a regular schedule for training. Keep a regular schedule for your conditioning and your fitness regime. Paul, you are most welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Kelly, thank you for popping in. And I'm going to say, you guys have a super training weekend. Hug and kiss your dogs, of course. Every day. They do so much for us. And remember, even if you are standing in the field and your dog is super trained, you are just standing. You're doing a lot less than your dog. So always look at your dog and look how they're performing. Give them the necessary rest that they require, and make sure that your plan includes strengthening the various parts of your dog's body to match the sport requirements that he needs to excel in the sport that you are doing with them. All right, so I'm going to say I'll see you next week. Let me set up my information. Take this away, make it look presentable, and then I'm going to say to you guys, have a good weekend. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye now.